Has anyone from the White House contacted you about personnel decisions?
Generally speaking, we always discuss with the White House, OMB, during the budget process, how many personnel we need, who we need where.
Answer is yes.
For budgetary purposes and
to fire people, agents, because they participated in investigations of the president?
I don't receive directions to do that.
Has anyone
I make the
suggested
decisions.
it? Has anyone asked you to do it? The best information is yes, you've taken suggestions and direction from the White House in firing qualified agents.
Any termination at the FBI was a decision that I made based on the evidence that I have as a director of the FBI, and it's my job, and I'm not going to shy away from it. And as you stated, those are allegations, and that is an ongoing litigation. So they'll have their day in court, so will we.
The allegations are not just in that lawsuit, Director Patel, and I think your testimony confirms that, in fact, you've taken direction from the White House in those retaliatory firings.
It literally does
because
not.
You've acknowledged that, in fact, they have been in contact with you about personnel decisions.
The White House has been, do not put words in my mouth, we're on the record. The White House, like any administration, contacts its agencies on the budgeting process and where it needs personnel and where the mission priorities are. That always happens. If they didn't do that, they would be abdicating the responsibility to law enforcement. I will always work with my partners in the chain of command at the Department of Justice and the White House to ensure that this FBI is delivering the results we are delivering, to include the lowest murder rate in modern U.S. history, to include the most fentanyl seizures in modern U.S. history, to include the most lives saved and the most children found in modern U.S. history. That is a working FBI. That is not a failing FBI.
Let's move on to a related area. In White House discussions, have you been asked or directed by the White House or others to engage in a crackdown on political groups or organizations, nonprofits, after the murder of Charlie Kirk?
To direct at political organizations? No. I've been asked by my chain of command to properly root out criminal activity wherever it is in whatever investigation we are conducting, and that's what we're doing.
Have those distinctions about whom you're going to target been based on direction from the White House?
Nobody gives me a list on who to target. My targeting list is from the men and women at the FBI.
Have you talked about investigating certain groups, nonprofits, or foundations or institutions?
Whatever those investigations are, they're ongoing, and I'm not going to get into those.
Have you used polygraphs to determine loyalty of agents?
No.
Have you committed that you will respect the First Amendment rights of agents?
I have wildly committed to respecting the First Amendment rights of agents, but at the FBI, you have to balance your First Amendment rights with your mission.
Have you imposed any sort of loyalty test in the course of using polygraphs or in any of the other personnel decisions?
Polygraphs have been utilized at the FBI for decades. They will continue to be utilized in the fashion by the professionals that administer them.
Have you asked, under the polygraph test, about individuals' loyalty or about their voting records or any kind of past statement?
Just to make it abundantly clear, I don't tell the professionals how to conduct polygraphs or what questions to ask. They make those decisions. And I, as the director of the FBI, never ask anyone who they voted for.
Have you investigated donors to a political party simply because they are donors?
Simply based on that fact alone? No.
Have you investigated donors for another reason?
Many donors may be involved in criminal enterprises and criminal activities, and those individuals will be investigated.
Can you commit to make public the Epstein files that so far have not been released if this committee is able to review them on a classified basis?
So let's be very precise about what just happened in that exchange, because the senator asked a simple yes or no question 4 different times, and Kash Patel never gave a yes or no answer. Did you fire anyone at the FBI because of their work on investigations involving Donald Trump? Yes or no? Every time that question was asked, the answer came back as a sentence that was not yes or no. FBI employees are terminated for failing to uphold standards. Terminations are based on evidence. No one is fired for case assignments alone. That word alone is doing a lot of work, because a federal lawsuit filed by 3 senior FBI officials says something very different. The lawsuit quotes Patel as telling one of the fired officials directly that the FBI tried to put the president in jail, and he has not forgotten it. And according to that same lawsuit, Patel acknowledged the firings were likely illegal, but said he had to comply because his ability to keep his own job depended on the removal of agents who worked on cases involving the president. Think about that. The director of the FBI reportedly said the quiet part out loud. I know this is probably illegal, but I have to do it or I lose my job. And here is where the White House contact question becomes important. When asked if the White House had contacted him about personnel decisions, Patel said yes. He said they always discuss personnel and budget priorities with the White House. And then in the same breath said he makes all termination decisions himself based on evidence. But the lawsuit tells a different story. According to the complaint, a senior White House official was requesting investigative squad rosters from field offices in Las Vegas, Miami, and Washington just 1 week into the new administration. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, those are the exact offices that had worked on investigations involving Trump. And the lawsuit describes Patel and his deputy openly acknowledging they were making decisions in response to political pressure from the White House and criticism from Trump supporters on social media. PBS. So when Patel says no one told him who to fire, the documented record says the White House was asking for squad rosters, naming specific offices, and applying pressure. And Patel says he made all those calls independently. Does that add up to you? And the pattern goes further than just the firings. An investigation found that every time Patel faced bad press, a new wave of firings followed within days. Fox News lawsuit becomes public. 10 agents fired for taking a knee at a protest 5 years ago. Olympic jet scandal breaks. Mar-a-Lago investigation unit fired. Each time the story was about Patel, the next story became about the agents he removed. Right now, more than 50 fired FBI agents are part of an ongoing class action lawsuit seeking reinstatement. These are not entry-level employees. They include agents with between 8 and 14 years of unblemished service, officials who ran hostage rescue teams, counter-espionage units, and field offices overseeing some of the most sensitive investigations in the country. CNN. And Patel sat in that hearing room and said no one was fired for political reasons. So here is the question that this whole exchange builds toward. If the director of the FBI privately tells a colleague the firings are likely illegal, if the White House was requesting squad rosters of agents who worked on Trump cases, if every wave of bad press is followed by another wave of terminations, and if the man running the bureau says he cannot answer yes or no whether he fired people for their prior case assignments, what exactly is the FBI being used for right now? And who exactly is it protecting?